Welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of college basketball. Another thriller in Mackey Arena, but this one much closer than it should have been, as the Boilermakers take down the Indiana Hoosiers. But without further ado, let's run it. Plenty of heart attacks to be had in this one, as this edition of the rivalry goes to the Boilermakers. Fun fact, with this win, Purdue moves into number 10 in all-time wins in college basketball history with 1,946 wins. Who did they move past at 1,945? The Indiana Hoosiers. Just an added sweetness to a really tough battle, as Indiana really tested Purdue today before an incredible go-ahead bucket by Trey Kaufman-Renn put Purdue on top for good, and the game would end with a final score of 81 to 76. But let's get into the game. The paint crew filled the seats by an hour before tip-off. Mackey was loud from the moment the Hoosiers took the floor. You could tell this was going to be one hell of a Friday night. From the jump, it was a battle. IU struck first with the beginning of a big night for Mackenzie Mbako. Braden responded with a patented mid-range jumper, and off we went. It was back and forth for most of the first half, with Indiana fueled by offensive rebounds and Mbako, and Purdue fueled by Braden Smith TKR pick and rolls and causing turnovers on the defensive end. With just under 8 minutes to play, a TKR jumper brought Purdue within one, 27 to 26. And as a Purdue fan, you're probably pretty stressed, but we were still right there. A Braden steal and layup, and one CJ Cox free throw put Purdue up by two. But then the meltdown began. Over the next 3 minutes, Purdue went ice cold, going 1 for 6 in that stretch, while Indiana got hot. And all of a sudden, Ballo and Goody went on a run to put Indiana up 7, 36 to 29, and the whole arena was sweating. Braden Smith wouldn't let this get too out of hand. Getting a pair of buckets and a Jakari Harris made a tough turnaround jumper to send Purdue into the locker room down only 4. It's time to take a breath and regroup. The halftime message: rebound, play hard, and fight back. They got the message. To start the half, the Boilers went on a massive run with 3 straight TKR buckets, including him finishing an and one, and all of a sudden 41 to 37 became 44 to 41, and Mackey damn near exploded. But it wouldn't stop there. After one renewed free throw broke the scoring drought, Purdue kept going on. A CJ Cox jumper and a Braden Smith layup, and Purdue brought their lead to 6. The lead got all the way up to 7 with another TKR bucket just under the 14-minute mark. But just when you thought Purdue might run away with it, Indiana found more fight in them. This one was brought to you by a senior who is well versed in this rivalry, Trey Galloway. After hitting a three a couple minutes earlier, he got his confidence up and he attacked the rim ferociously with Purdue's lack of rim protection and foul trouble for TKR and first. His confidence combined with Purdue's defensive strategy for guarding the pick and roll gave them the means to openly attack the same way for minutes on end. Trey Galloway pick and roll with Oumar Ballo. Purdue takes away Trey. He dumps to Ballo for an easy layup. Purdue stays with Ballo. Trey attacks the rim and finishes strong over TKR, who's by no means a shot blocker. TKR steps up to Trey and backside helps on Ballo. Cross-court kick out to a nearly wide-open Mbako, who was shooting pretty well from deep, or could pump fake and drive again. It worked frustratingly well, since TKR couldn't contest very well in fear of getting another foul. IU not only got the lead back, but was able to extend it all the way back out to a 6-point lead again with 5.5 to play, and time was starting to run out. But Purdue had one more good run in them, starting with a Heidi putback, then a TKR layup, and a Braden Smith jumper, and it was all tied up within a minute and a half. The last couple of minutes were a tight back and forth battle with a couple of Purdue free throws, then another Mbako three to take the lead back by 1, then a tough and one from Lawyer, which he converted to take the lead right back by 2. 2 free throws from Mbako tied it up. Braden forces a foul for 2 free throws of his own. 1 of 2 for the line for CJ Cox had the Boilers up 3 with a minute and a half to go. But once again, Trey Galloway put his head down and got his own, slicing his way to the basket. After a TKR ill-advised shot, they gave the ball right back to the hot hand, and Galloway made a tough jumper to put IU up by 1 with 30 seconds left. What an all-out war these last couple of minutes were. I was stressing. Purdue called the timeout to draw up a play, and what did they go to but, of course, a Smith and TKR ball screen, where Braden was able to snake the ball through to TKR, where he would spin away from the contact from Ballo and nail a jump hook from nearly 14 feet out. One of the biggest clutch time shots I've seen from Purdue this year. Without taking their final timeout, the Hoosiers came down the floor and went to Miles Rice, who hadn't scored on the night and put up a miserable attempt over Jakari Harris. From there, it was crucial free throws for Fletcher Lawyer, another turnover, and on a poorly executed last-second heave down the court, and 2 more free throws from TKR to end the game with a final score of 81 to 76. Whew, that was a lot. But heading into the top performers, Got to be at the top, starting with Braden Smith, who had 24 points on 11 of 21 shooting. Couldn't get a three to fall, though. He was 0 for 2 from deep. Strangely, 2 for 4 from the free throw line. He had an ugly two misses to start off the game, but he did have 7 assists, 6 steals, but also 6 turnovers in 40 minutes. Once again, did not come off the floor. Behind him, Trey Kaufman-Renn, 23 points on 10 of 13 shooting, a perfect 3 for 3 from the line, adding on 4 rebounds and assists, 2 steals, and 2 turnovers in just 26 minutes because of that foul trouble. For Indiana, Mackenzie Mbako just went off. He had 25 points on 10 of 17 shooting. He was 3 for 8 from the three-point line, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, adding on 5 rebounds and a block in his 36 minutes. It was one of the best games we've seen from Mbako in quite a while. Behind him was Umar Ballo. He may not have had nearly as much of the scoring volume, but insanely efficient, and really Purdue had no stop for him when he got the ball down in the post. He had 14 points on 6 of 7 shooting, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, but 3 turnovers in 35 minutes, which for a guy that people keep talking about him being out of shape, he was able to play 35 and he looked pretty darn good in all 35 for the most part. The honorable mentions for Purdue, it's Fletcher Loyer, who had 15 points on 4 of 10 shooting. He did get a 3 to fall. He was 1 for 3 from deep, 6 for 7 from the free throw line, including those 2 crucial free throws to end the game, 4 rebounds, and assist in his 31 minutes. And obviously, I have to mention for IU, Trey Galloway. We talked about him quite a bit in that second half. He was unreal for a guy that really hasn't had too much of an effect on Indiana's rotation this year. He had 15 points on 7 of 10 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal, but 6 turnovers because he did have the ball in his hands a lot, and he is by no means a point guard or that great of a ball handler. But he played 25 minutes. So for him to put up the 15, 3, 5, and 1 in those 25 minutes was still incredibly valuable for IU, and he was a big part of the reason they were still in the game. Heading into the key team points for Purdue, rebound the damn ball. I was so frustrated with Purdue's lack of ability or desire to rebound the ball, especially in the first 10 minutes or so. They did a bit of a better job as the half went on, and definitely better in the second, but they still let IU out-rebound them 32 to 26 and gave up 12 offensive rebounds to the Hoosiers. Get that they have height and athleticism, but height doesn't box out. Heart and effort does. You got to care and you got to find a man and get him out of the paint when the shot goes up. And too often Purdue was content not doing any of that and just hoping the ball fell to them. Secondly, where did our shooting go? To win this game while shooting just 2 for 13 from deep, honestly, a little astonishing and kind of impressive. Only Fletcher Loyer and Jakari Harris got 1 each to fall, with everyone else just struggling. I was honestly most disappointed in Colvin and Heidi, who each had 3 threes attempted, multiple of them just straight up uncontested, like wide open. But they just couldn't hit them. I don't know if it was pressure, nerves, or if they just got too excited from being too open. But if each one of them would have hit 1 or 2 of those truly open ones, this could have been a very different game. Thirdly, it's turnovers. Turnovers saved them. Once again, Purdue actually saved themselves on the defensive end. When they were struggling to get stops against the Hoosiers' offense, their best form of defense was just not letting them get a shot off. They ended up with 13 steals, again in double digits, and it gave them the spark they needed exactly when they needed it. They caused 20 turnovers for IU. And when they were getting out-rebounded, outshot from deep, and in general outplayed, those transition baskets saved them. And for a fourth one, clutch time free throws. Purdue may have started off horribly from the free throw line, which was very weird from guys like Braden Smith and them being at home, but they needed every free throw they got in the last couple of minutes to bring this one home. Harris's 2 to give Purdue the lead, Loyer's free throw on his and 1 to put Purdue up 2 instead of 1, Braden's 2 free throws to put them back out in front of 2, CJ Cox's 1 out of 2, bringing the lead to 3, Loyer's 2 free throws to take the lead from 1 to 3, so Indiana could only tie if they hit a miracle 3 at the end, and then TKR's last 2 free throws to put the game entirely out of reach no matter what they did. They hit them when they mattered most, and I'll forgive them for the really rough start because they locked in and brought this one home. Heading over to the Hoosiers, starts off with a 3 ball. For a team that averages 32% from deep as a team, they looked lethal at times tonight. Even though they all came from Mbako, Goody, and Galloway, those 3 made some truly tough threes down the stretch and in big-time moments to keep IU firmly in this game. Both Galloway and Mbako looked like they really wanted to take revenge for the season sweep Purdue had on them last year, and allowed them to shoot nearly 37% on the night as a team. And if you only count those 3, they shot a combined 44% from deep. If only they could be that motivated against other teams, this team could have actually somewhat lived up to the hype. Thirdly, It's Malik Reneau. Malik Reneau's fall off needs to be studied, but weirdly enough, it might not be his fault. Let me explain. Reneau is a 14 point per game scorer who went on a double digit scoring streak from the end of November all the way into January, where he would injure his knee in the first minute of their home win over Rutgers and would be out for nearly 3 weeks. When he came back, he just hasn't been the same player since. I don't know if he was rushed back or if he's just kind of lost his confidence playing tenderly, trying not to get injured again. But since he's been back, he's played a total of 43 minutes across 3 games for the Hoosiers, shooting a combined 6 for 23 for just 15 combined points. Not to mention, in his last 2 games, he's gotten 4 and 5 fouls apiece. He managed to foul out in just 8 minutes against Purdue. 5 fouls in 8 minutes, and that did anything but help the Hoosiers. They honestly were playing better when he was out for those 3 weeks, so something has to change, either the way he's playing or the way that IU is using him. And fourthly, for them, it's bully ball in the paint. Indiana understood that Purdue is not a dominant interior team on the defensive end and took that to their advantage. They attacked TKR on first, causing significant foul trouble for both guys while getting efficient scoring from Ballo and Galloway attacking the rim. They ended up with 40 points in the paint, outscoring Purdue even with the elite performance from TKR inside. They had a very good game plan for once and executed it really well to give Purdue a run for their money in Mackey. And lastly, it's the final play. After TKR's go-ahead bucket, the ball was inbounded to Miles Rice with 10 seconds to go and 1 timeout for IU. Mike Woodson appeared to not only not call the timeout, but wave Rice forward to go on with the play just before he crossed half court. Keep in mind, Miles Rice had played 20 minutes, was 0 for 4, not a single point scored, and he kept the ball in his hands, drove right, pulled up, and panicked mid-shot, throwing a weak pass, I think. I don't even know if it was a shot at that point, wildly short of the basket, ending up directly in TKR's hands. Many Indiana fans think Rice was fouled, and I will say on the broadcast, the shot from directly behind him, it looked like he could have been hit. But being in the arena, seeing the replay from the baseline camera, Harris didn't come close to hitting his arm or honestly the ball really, which is what made it so confusing that Rice didn't put up an actual decent shot attempt. I wish that view was posted somewhere. I tried to find it because it shows an entirely different play than what the broadcast shows, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But Purdue still feels good coming out of that one alive as they head into February on a high note, heading to Iowa on Tuesday, tonight as of recording, to take on the Hawkeyes. As for Indiana, was this game the final straw? Who knows what's in store for Mike Woodson and the Hoosiers as they travel tonight as well to take on the 17-ranked Wisconsin Badgers. But that's all I've got for today. The home stretch marches on, pun intended, as the Big Ten race tightens and teams look to boost their resumes come Selection Sunday. Stick around for more Purdue basketball content and buckle up for another fun March. But if you want more from us, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I'm out.